How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Monsters. This is Season 2, Episode 2, and this one's entitled Portrait of the Artist. The episode originally aired October 8th, 1989. It was directed by Jerry Smith and stars Darren McGavin, who you guys may remember as Kolchak the Night Stalker, but also the dad on A Christmas Story. Super cool to see him here. The episode also has Beeson Carroll and Laurie Kennedy. And overall, this is a pretty fun, weird little episode. It's one of those that the more I look back and think on it, the more little things I notice about it. Basically, you have a gallery full of portraits that turn out to be of missing people. And I really do like that. There is something kind of creepy about paintings just being shown in artificial image, usually with very little context other than the title, and sometimes with an element of abstraction behind it. There is something kind of weird about the cold world of paintings. There is something kind of creepy to art. But there's other things that go on with this as well, like the performance of Darren McGavin, the keeper of this gallery, where you can tell that something's going up, but he's just so friendly. You're not 100% sure if he knows about it, if he's on board. He probably is a bad guy, but he's someone who portrays himself as someone you can trust, but also what the episode's about, which I won't spoil. But I will say, like, half of the episode, you get right away. You're like, okay, I think this is part of it. But the other half, I'd be surprised if you guessed it all at once, because it does go in this really cool and strange and bizarre way, and some of the final shots of this episode are pretty cool. And I will say that once you know what's going on, going back and rewatching the episode, there's a ton of little clues that point to this outcome. You know, lines or set dressings or just plot elements that at first don't make sense. I really do like how well thought out this was, and just the place where it ultimately ends up going to. So yeah, a pretty fun episode. And between this and The Hand, Monsters Season 2 is off to a pretty bizarre start, which I'm all here for. I hope Season 2 gets super wacky, because I want to see what else we have in store next. Anyway though, in order to analyze this a little further, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to analyze a few plot points and say my piece on them. I'll be avoiding the end bits, but I do want to do a deeper dive. So let's talk about the opening. We open up in the Barn Gallery. It's a gallery with a barn theming behind it, so it's not as stuck up and pretentious as a lot of those other galleries. There's a big barn door thing on the front, and the guy is dressed in overalls and is super friendly. Well, we get this man and woman, they walk into the gallery. The woman had been there earlier, but she excused herself rather suddenly, and now she's returned with this guy, and she says he's an art critic, and I absolutely had to show him the gallery. Well, the gallery, they look around, and it's full of life-size portraits of different people, and they have a 3D element. They still have a painterly style, but it's built up, so in turn, it's kind of like half sculpture, which is really cool when it looks like a painting and the camera shifts and they're at a different perspective. It's some interesting pieces here. There's also other sculptures in the gallery that appear to be just found objects, like a bunch of shoes or clocks or something. And at first I thought this was maybe lazy set design, but then at the end of the movie, when you know what's happened, go back and think about why all those clocks are there and what he was trying to do. It's a few interesting ideas, actually. But anyway, when they're by themselves, they start to talk, and the lady says, I recognized a lot of these people in these portraits. I think she's supposed to be a reporter or something, but she says, I recognize them as missing persons, and look at this one in the back. It turns out this guy isn't actually an art critic, but he is a father of a missing daughter, and one of the paintings in the museum is actually of his daughter. So it's like the first clue in a cold case. And when the gallery owner returns, he confronts him about it and says, when was this portrait painted? I didn't know anything about this. Maybe this is something my daughter sat for when we didn't know where she was. Maybe it's a clue. And the guy goes, look, I'm the gallery attendee. I'm not the painter, so I don't really know too much about this. So he is friendly, and he just, he comes and he says a bunch of happy things, and he keeps a smile on his face, but you do kind of feel like he's covering for something. A few of the stories start to change, like, oh, the painter's from Nepal, but then later on, well, I think the crates came from India. Maybe your daughter's in India. You should go check that out over there. And little bits start to change when he's pressed. And I think that might be one of the weaker elements of the episode is all you have to do is really press him. I really wish there were more clues and it was more of a mystery about who this artist is, but it seems like you just keep pressing this guy and that will eventually progress the plot forward. But he still is a really good character, and I do like that. Should I trust him? Should I not? And there is one other painting in the gallery, the title of the episode, Portrait of the Artist, and rather than being like all the others, is a big blank spot sunk into the canvas. The artist is missing. That's some interesting stuff. Well, eventually they do go out on a lead, and this results in the gallery owner and the guy leaving for a bit, and they just leave the girl there, which I felt is kind of odd. He says, hey, man the gallery, there might be some people coming by later. And I'm like, wait, man the gallery? Does she know how to do that? Does she know how to do your point of sale system? Whatever. She's alone, and needless to say, this will start to transition into the creepier part of the episode. And I won't spoil too much of what happens there, but the intensity does heat up, and the episode really does swing for it towards the end. As I hinted at earlier, you can guess part of it, but the rest of it is pretty crazy, and I do like where this goes, and I do like the intensity, and I do like how Monsters Season 2 does seem to be heating up and amping things up. I don't know what the rest of the episodes are like at this point, but if they all stay as crazy as these last two, I'm gonna be really excited. Overall, a pretty fun little episode. Good idea, good ending, good performances. Yeah, I can definitely recommend this one. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Monsters playlist, where you should be able to find my reviews of the past episodes. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.